Ambrose Reynolds, and I'm the curator here at St Luke's, the bombed out church in Liverpool.
When was the church bombed out?
The church was hit by an incendiary bomb in the early morning of 6th of May 1941.
What is the plans at the moment for the bombed out church? Because there's a lot of problems over the last couple of years with the church.
Yeah, during the storms in January some masonry came down. The church was closed for a while it was repaired. During that intervening period, a developer expressed an interest in turning it into a boutique hotel with 20 bedrooms and a wedding chapel underneath, for weddings for rich folks. That had an enormous negative response. Nearly 30,000 people signed a petition against that particular development. The plans are at the moment to continue the work that I'm doing here, that I've been doing for 7 years, using it as a venue, as a visitor attraction, and as a place for school kids to learn about the Blitz and World War II.
You've got bands like Space even queuing to play here,
Yeah,
is that correct?
Yeah. Space are booked in for mid-July this year, but we have many different kinds of things that go on. Last week we had a physical theatre company from Spain as part of Physical Fest, which is a contemporary dance festival. That was on Tuesday and Wednesday last week. On Saturday we had a Catholic Mass in here, even though it's a Church of England church, with a Jesuit minister from the Philippines called Jason Dye, who's also an artist. So he did a Mass and then an art installation that you can see just behind me. That was followed closely the same day by a heavy rock gig with a band that was doing their album launch called Absolute Captain, and then Jason came back and did another Mass on Saturday afternoon after the heavy rock gig. Sunday we had an orchestra made up of medical students, the Manchester Medical Orchestra and Choir, and they played a classical selection on Sunday afternoon. So it's very diverse, it's never the same thing twice, it's always, every day is different.
Trying to raise funds desperately, why?
Yeah. We used to be funded here by initially the Arts Council. The Arts Council cut their funding for everybody that was under £30,000, so we were automatically cut from their budget. The City Council has had a number of problems with their funding, and so we're looking at different ways to raise funds, and I was approached by a chap called Simon who works for Crowdfunder. It's an online fundraising website, and they were keen. They asked us to do a campaign, so we're launching a campaign very soon for Crowdfunder, and that's to open it up as a venue again, to pay for things like licensing, enhancing the electric supply, reconnecting the water supply, which has been off since 1941, but also making small repairs, like there's holes in the wall that need replacing, there's loose bricks that need fixing back in with mortar by experts. So there's a number of things split between the regular things that you need to run a venue and structural things that really the council should pay for, but they don't have the budget to do. Initially, when I took the space over in 2007, it was all of this area here was covered in giant Japanese knotweed, which is famously difficult to get rid of. I employed a technique using bin bags and Roundup, and I've managed to more or less eradicate the Japanese knotweed. There are still some bits of it coming up, but I put a bin bag over it and spray it with Roundup and then seal the bin bag up, and that way it kills the knotweed without killing any of the plants or the wildlife that inhabit the space.
Is there anything that you are trying to do at the moment? Because I know the bell tower is in a serious state of decay and is also setting you back with your plans.
Yeah, I mean there's so many areas of the church that need urgent care. There's the south wing, the lobby in the south wing is really badly damaged, and that does need some kind of roof, some kind of protection, even if it's temporary protection, to stop the walls from falling down. The tower is not in good repair either. There's emblematic things like the clock stopped. It was famously stopped at 3:30, which is when it was hit by the Nazi bombs. in the 40s, and it's a relatively simple fix. So that's something we're looking at, getting the clock back working, so that you can look up and see what time it is, and it doesn't say 4 different times or 4 different faces.
There is an argument about that as well, though, because the clock stopped at a set time.
Yeah.
People are thinking, well, it's part of the building and the listing and part of it being unique. Do you think that's correct, or?
I think that you can get stuck in a museum mentality where everything is sacred, whether it's a bad thing or a good thing. I think in a busy city centre area, if you have a clock and the clock works and it tells you the correct time, then that sends out a positive message to the city. If you're wondering whether you're late to meet your girlfriend on the steps of the bombed out church, you can look up and see the correct time. The clock did used to work. It wasn't stopped at 3:30 for very long. They reinstated 3 of the clock faces are actually from the Mersey Docks and Harbour Board building, apparently, and the clock was regularly maintained right through the 80s, and then the chap that was doing it stopped doing it for whatever reason. We have a fellow that's come by and offered to fix the clock for free and to maintain it and to set it to the correct time, twice a year, Greenwich Mean Time, British Summer Time.
You have the oldest liver bird.
We do, yeah. It's Liverpool's oldest liver bird, and it's also Liverpool's smallest liver bird. It's in the very badly damaged section in the south wing of the building. And we only noticed it, we were cleaning up the crypt, and we moved about 2 tons of earth to get through to this room, and went up, and we were taking a break, and we looked up and we saw this tiny little liver bird stained glass window that's very beautiful.
You even got coal as well, haven't you?
We've got coal from the 1940s that's still there, unburnt.
Have you got any plans for anything that's unusual with the crypt?
I think that because indoor space in here is at a premium, it would be good to be able to use the crypt for different events and stuff, for film screenings for smaller audiences, perhaps even smaller performances as well.
Have you got any plans to utilise the entranceway as well? Because you need somewhere for an office if this is going to be...
Yeah, there's a floor that used to be in where you come in through the main foyer on the north side of the building. There used to be a floor there, and that fell down at some point. I'm not sure when it fell down. And there are great big holes in the wall where the joists used to be, and we're putting in a planning permission consent and fundraising to reinstate the floor there, and then we can use that space for educational purposes. We'll do yoga classes and Tai Chi classes and meditation classes, and when it rains out here, the classes have to finish, so it will give us an indoor space that we can use for those classes. It's around about a dozen people for each class, so the floor will be able to take it.
If anybody wants to find out more about the church, what ways can people get involved and find out more, and also volunteer to do restoration work and support and help?
Yeah, I mean, all help's welcome. The church is open every afternoon, 12 to 6, apart from Mondays and Tuesdays, which are my days off. You can go online. We have a Facebook page which is called The Bombed Out Church -official. We're on Twitter, Bombed Out Church, Instagram, Bombed Out Church, and we're working on a website which should be published in the next couple of months, and that's also going to be called bombedoutchurch.com.
Thank you.
Cheers.